started this week. Coming off an off week where we got to back and practice a lot of fundamentals and get a lot of things done and evaluate a lot of things where we're at, what we're doing, things we can just tweak and turn a little better fundamentally in all three phases. Did a lot of that last week. Worked on some future game plans. Worked on some of the Clemson things. Looking forward to get back and going full board this week. Great opportunity for us. I mean, Clemson's a heck of a football team. Played well the last few weeks and things. Got a great opportunity in front of us. Another big ACC matchup. Great for our conference. Great for our league. Great for both teams. Two of the winningest teams in the country in quite a while. And Dabo and those guys do a great job. Defensively, they're playing outstanding. Offensively, got a dynamic quarterback. Playmakers outside, the backs. Like I said, on defense up front, they're dominant up front. Secondary is good. Backers run around, make plays. And they're sound everywhere. They're doing a great run and playing very well. And we got a heck of a challenge, but also a great opportunity. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to a big game this weekend. Question?
What were some of those things you saw from your team in the week off that you felt there were areas of improvement in
all ways, all the way across offense. I mean, the way we blocked, the way we ran routes, the way we threw it, the way we covered kicks, the way we kicked it. I mean, our guys took it very seriously. It was not a time that they took as a relaxation time. They used it as time to get better. And just the consistency and the mindset which they had fundamentally. That's what we went back to, a lot of fundamentals and things of that nature to get better. I mean, no specific areas, but we want to protect better, and then not just at linemen and all those guys, making sure we're getting the hats on the hat, which we are. But then your technique, you just get into a hat, but then you gotta win you got 11 one-on-one matchups. You gotta win. And, doing those types of things. Make sure we're covering. Make sure we're not allowing ourselves to be lackadaisical in any part of the kicking game, and cover all those bases, and make sure we're trying to keep our return game going in a good direction. And we were inches from coming out the other day in a big return. One block, it was out the gate, and make sure we cleaned that up and got everybody on the same page and take those opportunities. When you play these real good teams like we played a combined record 17-2, and now it'll be 24-2, I believe, when we play our opponents. We're playing a great schedule, so you can't leave any stone unturned to make sure when you get those opportunities, you got to capitalize on them.
Jimbo, the red zone gets a lot of attention, but talking to other coaches, they mentioned inside the 40 scoring percentages, but what changes, not inside the 20, but inside the 40 as a play caller for a team?
Depending on your field goal kicker. Also depending on how aggressive you are, but also if you can be too aggressive. Sometimes I went through stretches when I was a young coordinator, you were too aggressive there. You leave yourself hanging out, not being as patient, taking too many shots. You want to be more patient, make sure you got in the field goal range and did things like that. We've been pretty efficient for the most part. I'd say red zone, I think we're 7th in the country, and one of those is we took a knee, and the other one we took one turnover down to Miami on missed signal. So other than that, I think we're doing very well there. You just got to continue to drive, and that's where teams tend to blitz you. That's where teams tend to pressure you. So you got to take a choice. Do you pop it? Or can you protect it? Make sure you take your shots, or can you pop runs and do things like that? It's all in the play. You can be too aggressive and you can be too passive. Both ways, just depending on what kind of team you got, what kind of kicker you got. I went through stages where we used to be too aggressive, always trying to score and take shots and do all that, and all of a sudden then you're left with a 55, 56-yard field goal. Doesn't do you any good. You know what I'm saying? So in those areas, you just got to make sure you know what your team's doing and what the other team's doing.
As you've evaluated, did you feel you've been too aggressive or too?
We had things there. We just got to execute. We just got to execute what we're doing. For instance, the North Carolina game, 3 times we get stopped right there. We drop a touchdown, have a 2nd and 3, just miss a block up front, don't pick it up, and then we just miss a wide open out route. We just got to execute right there. It all gets back to it. Everybody looks for play calling. Play calling, the best plays are when they're executed. The worst plays are when they're not. So they can be, what you got to look at is, was the play there or was it not there? And then why was it not there? Did we miss it fundamentally? Did we miss it here? Was it totally covered? Whatever it may be. That's, when you get into play calling or execution, either one. And execution is part of coaching too. You got to make sure when you call it, they can catch it or throw it or run it or do whatever. You just got to keep focusing, execute.
You guys have moved the ball pretty well, but there have been those little mistakes. 7 games into the season, is that a concern, or do you still feel there's?
We just reviewed back through the last couple of seasons. As I say, we had a lot of you pull your notes out every time it breaks. It's funny, they're almost identical. You may have a different part of your team that you may say, man, we got to get better here. And it may change year to year, but the quotes and because I have a set of notes, and we do off weeks, and when I look back and reevaluate, what do we do? Off week, we need to do this, this, and this. Usually there's a couple things, always kicking games in there, it's all the time because you get so nervous as a coach at kicking game. On offense, there's always 2, 3 little things, and they vary. Like from 3 years ago, it was 2 things, and the next year it was 2 other things, and then 2 years later, it was 2 of the things you had 3 years ago. You know what I'm saying? It's just funny how you go back and forth in all those evaluations and where you're at in those situations. So it's always something. I mean, you look, am I calling the right plays? Am I putting us in the right position? Are we asking the right people to do what we're asking to do? You know, there's all kinds. Is there injuries? Is there, what is it? You know, do you got to get, sometimes I put health. Big problem, big issues are health. Need to get healthy. And certain one year I had, and it was a lot of the mistakes were there, but guys weren't healthy and, you know, able to do some of the things that you wanted to do. And it's just funny, but it kind of goes in a circle. It just comes right back to you in different ways.
Clemson under Venables has always had consistently very good defenses. What's kind of the pattern? What does he do consistently year after year that you see from that defense?
First of all, get good players. Go look at the draft picks and the defensive guys. If you want to be a great offensive team, defensive team, I say it all the time, you got to get good players. And they've had good front guys. They're very multiple. They pressure you. They'll put a lot of pressure on you, force you to execute and make plays. There's no gimmies. What I'm saying, there's no layups and things you can just, you know, you'll have a chance to get, and they just make you execute and play tight coverage in the secondary. Try to make you throw and catch, you know, and it makes them, and they occasionally will give up a play or two, like happened to them in the Alabama game, but, you know, or busted coverage or something. They're very multiple, extremely multiple in what they do lots of things, lots of coverages, lots of different, multiplicity of things in which they do. And like I say, sometimes it will get them in trouble, but most of the time they execute the heck out of it. They do a great job, they got good front people, and they blitz you and give you different looks. I mean, they do a good, real sound job, and got good players, and play hard.
Coach, when the defense gives you so many different looks, is it difficult to prepare a younger quarterback for that?
It is. I mean, you always have to go against all the different things and what you can do, how it matches up against them and the looks and what's good and what's not bad. So you have to make sure in your game plan that, you know, you're putting him in the right position, or if you're giving him a look, 1 or 2 things to do, or maybe even 3 things, you know, you got to know exactly when you see that what you got to get to.
Was it any more uncommon for a defensive tackle to slide to defense end like Christian Wilkins has done versus defensive end moving inside defensive tackle?
Yeah, it's just what we did with Mario and those guys. I mean, Mario Edwards did a lot of that. You see DeMarcus Walker do it at times on pass rush down. I mean, you know, Walker's a little bigger. Yeah, watch what you saw. Like I said, you saw Mario Edwards. What's Mario Edwards playing right now?
Yeah.
Exactly. You saw him for 3 years do it, and he could play in, but he was also one of those big guys. It's hard. Not many guys are athletic enough to do it. He does a really good job of it. I mean, he's a big body, strong, but he has great quickness. He has good. There's those guys that do it, or guys that kind of grew into it. Usually they're very athletic. Usually played other sports. You ever watch them? You know what I mean? They've been other sport guys that have grown in that and have a lot of fast twitch, and he does. And he's a strong guy. But I use Mario for an example. I joke with him. I always joke about it. But those types of guys. But it's, you know, Marcus Spears was like that for us at LSU. We had a couple other guys like that with 300-pound ends, 305-pound ends that play tackle at times, and go back and forth. So, yeah, I've been around a few of them that do it, but they're very hard to find. They really are.
How's DeAndre doing after taking some of the hits he took over the last?
Good. He's been good. He's going to practice. Great practice. We have a great week.
Was it good? Was the bye week good for anything?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, it was. I mean, let you heal up and get the soreness. You know what I'm saying? You can play. There's a difference playing and playing when you're banged up. You know what I'm saying? But the soreness and things, get that worked out, get extra rehab, take pressure off of it.
Mentally too sometimes, you think? I mean, just.
I don't know. Mentally, he was in a bad place. I mean, you say that, but mentally, sometimes you get used to playing like that, and you get into it. You stay in that groove. It can, you know, both ways. I mean, it doesn't hurt, I don't think, but I don't know. Have to ask him that, I guess. Probably will say yes. I'm sure.
Coach, there's no need to heal and get rid of some of that soreness. Is that the best part of the bye week, or is the actual preparation time the best part?
Both. I mean, it really is. And just to get your mind away. I mean, you concentrate there, but not having a game and get back to school and some of the things that, you know, there's lots of pressures on these kids. I mean, you see it across the board. It's more pressure now than ever. And I keep saying that. People don't buy into it, but you see it by how guys play every week. Look at the teams across the country, the way they play up and down in school and all the things that are going on and the social media pressures that go on and, you know, are you in, are you out, all that type of stuff. And it's good for these guys just to get that break, just to take a deep breath. You know, I ain't got a game this week. I'm going to practice hard and I can relax just a little bit.
Jimbo, you played some outstanding quarterbacks this season. Obviously, you got another one on Saturday. How does he compare to some other guys?
Oh, he's as good as anybody. I mean, you watch the consistency he plays with, and he throws a deep ball, the short ball, can run. But, you know, to me, he's just competitive too. I He's a great competitor and always finds ways to make the plays. You know what I'm saying? Seems to be one of those guys, and that's just a characteristic that if you either have it or you don't. You know what I'm saying? And he does it. I mean, he's a very, very special player. He really is.
How important is it for them to have a guy like Gallman who can complement him and give you that other threat?
Well, it does, and the physicality of Gallman. I mean, him being physical and getting in there and makes him a two-headed monster. I mean, they can run it inside with power and play without, throw screen games and all the down the field stuff they do, and they put him on the edge on the runs. And when you fake it to Gallman, you got to respect him so much. I mean, it makes a big difference. It really does.
Staying with their offense, I mean, what have you seen from Mike Williams this year? I know he missed last year, but it seems like this year he kind of gives him like that big.
Oh, he does it. He's covered, but he's never covered. You know what I mean? You back shoulder him, you throw it high, the body, the range, the catch radius, all those types of things. Then you guys, great athleticism and speed, and they utilize him on the backside a lot, and the single coverage is a lot. He's a really good player.
What would you say made the difference between him and the other receivers you've seen? I know you've seen like a gamut of everyone, but is there anything?
Probably just pure size, and and then the athleticism that goes with it, with the catch radius and the ball skills. I mean, he's a heck of a player.
Jimbo, you guys probably defended them about as well as anybody last year. Are there things you can take from that? What were some
No
of the-
doubt. I mean, you will go study them and do too, but at least you know you can do it. You know what I'm saying? And you got the capabilities, but at the same time, the field position was huge in that game. One of the things in that game we did, even though offensively we didn't score much, we moved the football very well, had leads early, had chances to take leads, but we even moved the football, even the midfield, and they would punt, they started, if you go back to that game, they started, they would have 2 or 3 first downs and pick it up 4 first downs, but then they'd be at midfield. If you remember, each team kept starting way back, but to be able to move the football, I think offensively really helps us in that regard too, so they didn't play on many short fields. But if you play these guys on short fields, they become very tough, you know what I mean? But defensively, we had some success, but they still had a lot of yards and eventually made some plays, but, we played it pretty well. As well as anybody did, I guess you'd say.
Jimbo, obviously, as anyone want to get off to a fast start, but how imperative is it against a team like this with having weapons on the other side of the ball?
Well, you do. I mean, you need to get out of the blocks, you need to get confidence, whether it's offense or defense. That both sides get off the ball to a good start. If you can continue to move the football, maybe get points, and hopefully have some stops early in the game to get your confidence. You know what I mean? Because they're going to come in and do the things they got to do. But anytime you play a big opponent, so it's always, if you can get that lead quickly, it makes a big difference.
The last 3 games, you didn't get off to a fast start offensively, but it's not like your coach is going to do that. It's not like they want to do that. How do you
Go back to the last 3 games, what we do. We had a third down last week. We had last week was a high snap. Cost us on the first play. We had a big play. Then third down 5. Guy he was just come open late and they pushed the pocket. We had to throw it away. At Miami, we missed a cut. I mean, it's a touchdown. And on 4th down, we went for it and they tipped it. It's a touchdown. They made the play. On the short yardage, actually down, it's a walk-in touchdown about 30 yards out. I mean, what was the game before that? Well, I wouldn't say we got to a slow start. We didn't score the points, but you had 3 drives. We missed field goals. If you make those field goals, you're in great shape. We drop a touchdown. That's the 3 I just talked about. So we're moving the football for the most part, except for Wake's the first time we had a 3 and out at any time that we started the game. The rest of the time, we at least got a couple first downs. That's usually the first year goal, is to get a couple first downs, so you change field position and do that. You want to finish drive, which we usually been pretty good around here over the years doing early in the game, but we just got to relax and make the play. Just let the plays come to you, and don't overpressure yourself or try to do too much. Just play the play.
And as a coach, it's not like you don't stress that. Like
No, you do. You stress about the importance of executing early. We do it in practice. That's why we do things in practice early, to change up drills sometimes to really get them to focus early, and so you start off fast and you can maintain fast. But it's just like turnovers sometimes. You say go get turnovers, all of a sudden then you try and you screw them up, and then all of a sudden turnovers come in bunches. You know what I'm saying? You just got to do what's right. Play the play, be fundamentally sound, put your hat where it's supposed to be, catch the ball, all those type of things, and you just play the game. And don't put too much pressure on yourself, but also have an urgency that you got to get focused and do what you got to do.
Is that at least encouraging something for the players who are on that you're moving the football?
Oh, we're moving the football very well. I think we are 480 yards a game. I mean, good in the red zone, those things. Just got to finish on points early. Just got to keep doing it.
How's Bobo doing? Is he gonna be back next?
He will be. I don't think there may be some time out there today. We'll see. So that's why I checked with Jake early. He was coming. He was getting treatment at the time. And he's getting better. So we'll just see.
Let's take a question from Matt Baker. Matt,
He's always him. He's the only one ever.
I know. No more D'Angelo. Matt.
Sorry,
That's
hey,
him.
Jimbo.
Hey man, how are you?
I want to kind of look big picture here. A couple of teams after winning titles or playing for one weren't quite as sharp for the next year.
Carolina Panthers. I mean, you name it. Well, because people go and study. You're successful. People mark you. You earmark. Then there becomes distractions. As I say, clutter. All of a sudden, you're doing this interview. You're doing that interview. You're on Sports Center. Everybody in the world, you're a hero. You're this. And don't think all those things off the field. Don't turn into clutter for these guys. Takes focus away from their main job. When they were nobody and no one knew who they were, and they're out there playing their tails off, it's fun. Now every time, you don't want to disappoint. Well, I don't want to be arrogant and not go do this. I don't want people ask you to do things. People do this. Teams study you in the off season. Teams get your tendencies. It's just a whole gamut of things, and it's human nature. And sometimes the main thing is the main thing, but not as much as it used to be. The distractions that come from teams that have success are amazing. That's what makes why I say for Alabama, what they're doing right now is really tough to do. There's not many people do it. Not many people do it in the NFL. That's why the Patriots, what they do is really amazing. I think when you have your sole focus and you're driven, and I think that's where infrastructure really comes in. And I think the Patriots tremendously understand it. You go watch pro football, why the same team? It's infrastructure, guys. It's like in college football. The infrastructure I talk about, your off-field people, all the things that go on, the things you have in place are as critical in today's time, probably more than they've ever been in the history of sports. And the people who can afford to do it with the infrastructures off the field and eliminate clutter and keep those things relegated to a certain amount of time and things that and help keep focus and keep developing and player development and all the things, I think are extremely critical. Most people don't have the tools to do it. And then plus sometimes then you got to go through it once to really understand what's clutter and what's not clutter. Everybody in the world telling you how great you are. You're doing this, you're doing that. All those things to these kids at 18 to 22-year-old is extremely, extremely tough to do. Is that enough reason?
Sorry, Jimbo, but just to follow up on that, and what did you do specifically? What were a couple things you did in 2014 to try and eliminate that?
Well, you try to put people in place. You put as I say, your sports psychology group together to explain things to kids. You try to explain what they're going to do. You talked about, not defending anything, but attaining it, trying to go after another one. And the thing that team had, which was amazing to me, and I think where we get the great respect for the 14 team, even though it didn't play at the same consistency level the 13 team did, the thing it had, though, it had some tremendous, tremendous competitors who could raise their game when they really had to. And, and then not enough young guys. Then you also get young guys on the team, which you get in college, which we had to be very careful of, which is what I call the entitlement syndrome. Well, you won it, we're going to win it again, and somebody's going to go make a play. Instead of thinking, we always have a saying, play don't care who makes it. Somebody make a play, don't matter. You go make the play, you be a difference. And I think trying to emphasize those things, and we did it to a point, but obviously we didn't do it enough. We didn't win that championship again. But it was a really, it's very challenging, but it's also, then the kids get to go through it. It's very educational for them. And that's the thing in pro ball, the good thing, you get to keep a lot of the same guys, so you get to go through it again. But there's a lot of programs you got to put in, a lot of things you got to do. Mm-hmm.
Jimbo, after the Wake Forest game, Josh Sweat said he felt like himself and maybe some other defensive guys were starting to take out too much pressure and not playing loose or free. Did you sense that?
Without doubt.
And what does that do?
Because all those guys coming in, Josh Sweat, the #1 player in the country. Everybody thinks he's 3 and done. I'm going to be a top 10 pick. You don't think his family and everybody else and him and all the, you don't think that grinds on these guys? It wears on them, guys. And then all of a sudden they go out and try and become result oriented, which a young kid will do. And I'm not saying him, I'm just saying in general, that's what happens to a lot of these kids when they come in. They become result oriented because I'm expected to do this, I'm expected to do that. And they measure themselves, unfortunately, by social media. They want to go read what everybody says about them, what they're thought of. Did I play a great game? Did I not play a great game? They put such undue pressures on themselves today that I say, getting kids to ignore that, getting kids to stay off of that, getting kids to worry about what they can control is how they play and how they prepare. That's kind of what I'm talking about right here. It's the same thing. That's why the pressures of these kids today, it's crazy on them, especially those highly recruited guys, because now we're whining and dining them, not us. I'm talking about when they're all the camps and openings and all that stuff, and I know it's all great, but at the end of the day, it puts a ton of undue pressure on these kids now for expectations and results about what comes on. And I don't think it's a good thing. I really don't. I know it's here to stay and we're going to do all those things, but all that attention and media, I think it hurts them, and I think it puts and then they finally realize at the end of the day, all them people used to talk real nice about them, talk real mean about them. And you know what? I better go back and play. And I joked about that, but that's a fact. That's the facts of life. And they got to go back and say, you know what? What's the big deal? Let me just play. Let me go back and remember why I came, why I wanted to play. and all of a sudden that maturity kicks in, and they start playing, and hopefully that's what's happening.
So does a game like this week's primetime ACC matchup, does that add extra clutter then, and extra clutter?
No, I don't think once you realize it's about football. Once you realize it's about football, it doesn't. If you're worried about everything else, it does.
Of the top 10 teams losing, and there are so many tough games left in front of their schedule, is it crazy to think that a 2-loss team could get in this playoff?
Anything can happen. If you can figure out college football right now, tell me. I mean, you're not going to. I mean, it's just, we're at a crazy time right now. You don't know what's going to happen. But no, I don't see that. I mean, I can see it happening. I can see it not happening. You know what I mean? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me a little. I mean, LSU was the first 2 year after I left, didn't they lose to, and lost one of them, didn't they lose the last game of the season?
Yeah, next week.
To Arkansas. And then still got in and won a national championship. So if that can happen there, I'm sure it could happen in the playoff. I mean, and you still got a lot of, like you say, there's still a lot of, isn't there a lot of matchups still left to play in there somewhere? I mean, it could happen.
And you mentioned Alabama. Did you get a chance to watch games this weekend? What your
Very
takeaways
little.
were?
I watched some. I didn't watch a lot. I watched some. I got here and there, messing with the kids and doing stuff. I saw some. I saw a little bit of their game.
What your takeaways were, not just the Alabama game, just from anything you saw in general this weekend.
Same things I say, the ups and downs and the pressures, and be able to perform every week, and anybody can get beat at any time. I mean, and how they get beat. I mean, you're in it long enough, those things are going to happen. You just got to coach to them and try to be sound in all phases of your team. I mean, and I know I didn't even realize at High State that it was a blocked field goal. But they're kicking up 7. Isn't that what happened? Or am I off on that? Then they got returned for a touchdown. I mean, who's been as consistent as anybody. I mean, Houston been playing super. SMU has been struggling all year. I mean, it just shows you every week you got to be ready to play. You got to be ready to jump out there. How Auburn played this week. You know what I mean? And those are things off my head that just I caught squad. Wow. I mean, the kid, you just got to keep playing, and every week anything can happen, and you go play. But it's college football. It's 18 to 20. Like I said, the pressures and everything going now, it's all crazier than it's ever came. Just keep playing. Learn to eliminate the clutter.
Jimbo, you said late last week you didn't expect everyone to be ready for this weekend. Where's he at right now?
It's on the timetable. There's no way to judge this thing. They're just going to do it on the timetable of history, because you can't MRI it and say, which they know he's much farther along than most people are. But it's never been. If you chance it, then you're chancing on tearing everything. I mean, so it's just a timetable. So I mean, I think he is healing very fast, very quickly, but there's a certain amount of time they're going to hold, because there's no precedent for it, and there's no way to judge and look at MRI or see that it's totally that way. You know what I'm saying? Unless what they've got on the timetable, from what I understand. That's the way it's been explained to me.
How's it set on him? Because he's such a competitive guy.
Oh, it kills India. I mean, it drives him nuts. But you got to ask him to think big picture about his future and what goes on. And like he said, he thinks it's my future about my team, which I understand. You just, but we got to be smart. I'm not going to ever do anything like that.
Well, say there was a scenario where he would be ready in 3 weeks. I would think normally with most kids, he would try to redshirt, but with Derwin being such.
Yeah, you ain't gonna ready. I mean,
Well,
you play.
So if
He's
he
not
came
staying
back
for a
in
5th year
fourth,
anyway.
If he came
I
back.
hope he stays for a 4th.
Yeah.
But you don't know that. I mean, you don't. I mean, you would play.
So he-
Because you get right in the bowl game, things like that, and finish out the season. That happens.
Jimbo, Marcus Lewis didn't play a whole lot this past game. Is that a matchup thing, or is he?
No, I mean, he's doing well. We just had some other guys that are playing really well, and we're having a lot of success, so I didn't take it up. He's fine. I mean, he's doing great.
How good will your receivers have to be this week?
I think we really do a lot of man-to-man coverage, a lot of one-on-one opportunities, and when you got to make those big plays and chunk plays. You got to do it, and those are going to be critical. I think today's time that position in general changes. When you got great wideouts, it changes how people got to play tremendously. Wideouts are more important now probably than ever been in the history of football.
Jimbo, how would you assess McFadden's season? I mean, he leads the ACC.
He's played really well at times, and he's had some bad plays. And he's learned to play with much more consistency, and what you still learn to do, and understand how that you out there you have to have a short memory. You're going to get attacked all the time, and you got to play with great consistency and great confidence. And you can't take a play off, because out there a play there usually 6 points on the board. And he's had some he's given up, but he's rebounded very well and played very well. And he's getting better. He's getting better and better. And he still has a ways to go. I don't mean that in a long way, in a bad way. I think he's developing, has a great attitude, and has a chance to be a really good player.
What about the last couple of games in general? How's he bounced back from that late call against North Carolina?
Seemed to be well. I mean, I don't think, I don't know if he had a pick at Miami, but he had one, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, in the end zone, man, it was critical, right there at the end. That was very critical. Yes, had a big play there. Last week had a big pick. Got beat on one play, you know what I mean, right after. And one that was, you know, they had a jump ball, whatever, but played very well. I think he's done well. And like I say, he's had a short memory. He's learning that and learning that, you know, out there you can't, and as soon as you start to pout out there, or not say pout, I guess is a bad word, or feel sorry for yourself because you got beat, all of a sudden they'll come at you again. You know what I mean? And I think he's learning that, getting much more mature, and is rebounding very well.
Are we good?
All right, guys. Thank you.